everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm but one of your hosts. And joining me, as always, is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how are you doing today, pal?
Doing A-okay, Jimmy, old pal. Tell you what.
Yeah, good.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I don't know why every time we start this, you always make me smile. Like no matter what, it's just you always put a grin on my face.
Start things off on the right foot, just like building a building. You got to start at the foundation and build your way up.
Yes, you got to get your footings correct.
Oh, hey, you want a job? I could use a PM over here.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm on my way. I only work in the PM though, so.
A project manager, PM that works in the PM. Holy crap!
Exactly. Yeah, I don't start before noon. Anyway, for anyone who's joining us for the first time, we talk about movies and video games and TV shows and cookbooks occasionally, and all the things that we love so very much. And to all of those who are joining us for the 73rd time, which a few of you actually are, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. But let's get into some news first before we get into the meat of the podcast. So, Joe, we got some breaking news here. Some breaking news.
Is this where the graphic flashes up on the screen? Breaking.
No,
breaking news.
That'll break my computer. It's just my computer like, no, I'm just kidding. She's great. I love her. Anyway, so Joe, get this. Disney is going to start pulling all of their movies off of Netflix, and they're going to start their own streaming service by 2019.
Am I surprised? No.
No, I don't think I'm not super surprised either. They said apparently Bob Iger was saying that they've had a good relationship with Netflix in the past and that it's been working out pretty well. But it's a strategic move for them, and it makes perfect sense because this way they can completely control that. And they're also going to provide something along the lines of like ESPN in part of this package as well. And they're going to show off a ton of sports and stuff like that too. So I think that's maybe to supplement some of the people kind of like if they're not into cable or if they're like they have Netflix but they want other things, this would just be like an all-in-one if you like Disney and ESPN and all that stuff together. It just was kind of amazing to me. I just don't know exactly like why now, just because it seemed like they just started this deal, with Netflix and maybe something happened where they were like, we don't really like this, or why don't we just do this? Because they acquired something recently where they're going to put all this streamable stuff on, and I was just interested. And I don't know, Joe, how do you feel about it? You said you're not surprised, but does it make sense to you?
Well, yeah, them having more than just fingers in the pudding. Now they've got the lasso around the neck and they're wrestling her down to the ground to tie the feet together. You know what I'm saying? They, I mean, it's first of all, Netflix flat out is they are some fierce competition. I mean, you got things like Hulu, Sling, all these other streaming services. HBO has theirs. I just feel like, and I don't doubt that some companies may be able to do it better than Netflix. Unfortunately, I use Netflix once in a great while. I don't use it all that much, unfortunately. It's kind of fell to the wayside for me. For a few years it was good, and I was catching up on all these shows that were kind of good. But I feel like I've exhausted some of the options, and as of late, with how busy life gets, it's hard to really be, that meme you always see, like sit down to Netflix and chill. 1 week later, 6 seasons and 20 episodes each down. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't get into the binge watching as much anymore. I'll do it more to like kill time when I sit down for dinner or something of that nature,
Yeah.
So, but if there was better content, it might sway my selections. I might be more into it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's some Disney content on Netflix, but it's not a lot, But you have your staples. You have the new Star Wars, and you have some of the new Marvel stuff. But beyond that, Netflix is kind of – I just feel like there's some stuff missing. Sometimes the Netflix original stuff is pretty great, but Disney's a powerhouse, and whether you like it or not, nobody's in business just to be in business. They're in business to make money, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. And, going forward, I think it was like everything from 2016 onwards, Disney was going to put onto Netflix. So I think over time, like that people just say, oh, if you like Disney stuff, you have to get Netflix because that's the easiest way to watch any of their movies or anything like that. Apparently, though, the Marvel TV shows will be staying on Netflix. I don't know if there's some sort of deal in place there, so I don't think they would pull down like Jessica Jones or Iron Fist or Daredevil or anything like that. And I think they're going to continue to do that for now on there, because if they did that, if they took those off on top of that and then say, hey, if you want to watch the new season of Daredevil or Punisher or something, you have to get this new Disney app. Would I be surprised to see that in the future, though? No, I would be like, I understand they want people to purchase their streaming service to watch their shows and stuff like that. I get it. You know, it's a big deal. And I think that it's not necessarily a huge blow to Netflix, but it's not great either. Like it was cool for them to get this, and now it's just kind of like smacked down. Like Disney's like, no. They're like, actually, no, we're just gonna throttle back a little bit. Like, so
you're making too much money. Your competition. No.
Yeah. And you made a good point, Joe, about the Netflix originals. I think that's what Netflix, and I maybe even said it here on the show, I really think that's what Netflix has been trying to go for right now. Like, you know, there's only a few shows that I've watched that have been like originals, like The Ranch or Bloodline or whatever else, but those things aren't compelling enough for me to say, like, I need to have this subscription. It's just like, exactly. I feel like they're trying to do all these things and be like, hey, this is a Netflix original and you can only watch it here. So that way one day they don't have to keep getting these older shows, you know, so people can binge watch them. They're like, oh man, if I want to watch the next season of Orange is the New Black, I have to have Netflix. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Just another move by the House of Mouse. And I was just like, pretty cool. Just it's fascinating just to see how this business stuff works, because I thought, oh, Disney doesn't want to have to deal with their own streaming service, but now they're saying like, yeah, no, we do. Like Disney, I think, is going to start making a push, you know, even more so to not necessarily have to be affiliated with anyone else but themselves. Just be like, yeah,
they'll be the Superdome, if you will. They'll have it all under their one roof.
Yeah, and I wonder if at all it plays into the fact that like you watch Daredevil or Jessica Jones and then it might recommend you watch The Arrow or like Flash, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to help promote like the CW or like anything DC, you know, or any of those other types of things, or other competition like DreamWorks. Like they're like, oh, DreamWorks Pictures, their movies are on here, like Kung Fu Panda. We don't want you to watch Moana. And it's like, hey, you should watch Kung Fu Panda. It's like, you know, maybe that was another thing too that they considered. They're like, well, this is kind of promoting like our competition. We don't want to do that. So
garnering attention to Netflix, which in turn promotes other film companies. So
I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I'm starting to turn into like corporate Jimmy. Like I'd be sitting in the office and I would be like, hey guys, do you think we should do this? And they'd be like, he makes a good point. He'd be like, all right, pull the funding from Netflix immediately and burn down all their houses. like, no, guys, we'll just make our own
find their
service.
Families instantly now.
Yeah, take them all to Disney World and then just send them pictures and be like, we have your family. We have them in the biggest human trap in the world. No.
You'll never leave.
Yeah. Well, Joe, speaking about Disney and not wanting to promote things that aren't Disney, a new thing dropped from Deadpool 2 this week, which is not affiliated with the MCU at all, but we got our first look at Cable. You know, this new kind of the straight man to Deadpool's kind of crazy, wacky antics. I'm going to link it down below so you guys can take a look at this picture too. This Josh Brolin's Instagram, I think, dropped it. But Joe, I kind of wanted to get your feeling of this look because you're an artistic guy. So I wanted to know what you thought of it, you know, before I kind of dive in.
I caught a shot of it earlier today. I think the look is very well done.
Yeah.
And I like the whole neck thing with the mechanical aspect to it, and it really, the makeup is done really well. I mean, it's a realistic, it's not CG. His arm, however, might be either that or some sort of sleeve, but it really is kind of cool, and he looks badass. He really does. He looks very worn and tattered, but tough. So
yeah. Is it weird that like when I look at this picture, it's not that it looks bad. It's just that I feel like I can tell that there's somewhat of a budget there, but it's not like an Avengers budget. You know what I'm saying? Like we know that this is an R-rated, movie, and that the budget won't be as big as something like that. But when I've seen other pictures of Cable, and he does look obviously like his comic book counterpart to some degree, but it looks like kind of a grungier, kind of less vibrant, less like all this stuff on him, more just like, oh, this is, kind of trimmed down a little bit. Do you get that vibe at all, or is that just me?
Yeah, I totally get that vibe, and I kind of prefer it. I mean, for the direction that the Deadpool films are going to go, I think it's appropriate. It's very realistic.
Yeah, which is not something I would associate a lot with Deadpool. But that first movie was kind of, realistic. It was kind of like, back to basics as far as all that stuff. There wasn't.
And for the most part, I mean, there's not a heck of a lot of CG. Some of the more larger scale things, like the whole boat thing, I'm sure was some sort of platform, but it's not overly done and littered with mouse clicks.
Yeah, that's true. Well, does this picture get you excited any more so on Deadpool 2? Are you at the same level? I guess I don't know where you stand on the sequel anyway.
Well, I think they exhausted the whole Deadpool by himself. You had the witty bartender, you had the guy that just didn't feel pain or whatever. So whatever, big deal. I feel like Cable will be a good trampoline for Deadpool to react with.
Okay, cool.
You know
nice.
What I mean?
Yeah. So seeing this kind of makes you a little more excited than maybe Colossus. If you saw him again, you'd be like, it's Colossus again, which he might be in this film. Is there anything on him at all that like strikes you as odd?
Yeah, the teddy bear, pal.
All right. I'm so glad that you brought that up without me having to add.
I was going to ask, Jimmy, what's with the teddy bear?
Well, Joe, I'm so happy that you asked because I definitely knew about this more than like 10, 15 minutes ago. So I didn't know what it was either, so I had to look it up. But apparently the teddy bear is significant because it is associated with a girl named Hope, which is like a surrogate daughter of Cable's. She, like Cable, was sent into the future to be trained as a warrior, and he kind of watches out and protects her. And there's been a few hints that Hope will be in this sequel. They've had it in that kind of teaser. The Deadpool's like he's in the phone booth or whatever. There's like Hope on the thing. So that is what the significance probably is of the bear. So they're gonna, she'll probably be in this movie to some degree. How old she'll be, I have no idea. So that's why I was like, I looked at it first.
Grandma.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it's this instead of just like, oh yeah, Cable also loves teddy bears, and like Deadpool could laugh about that for 5 minutes. I was gonna be like, oh god, like is this gonna be it's gonna be the unicorn thing all over again. So yeah.
So Jimmy, I think that's cool. You don't strike me as a huge Deadpool fan.
I'm not, Joe. Why did you do this? All right. I'm going to put Deathstroke aside for a second. I love Deathstroke. We've already talked about that, and that Deadpool's a ripoff. Okay, that's fine. Here's the thing about Deadpool.
No, I think Deathstroke was the ripoff of Deadpool. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, Deadpool, like, the first one's fine. There's kind of some pacing issues because the rest of that film, like his origin story, is really boring and not. I just think you don't even need it really with Deadpool. Like, I don't really care how he got his powers, and the way he got them was not very interesting to me. And his whole like romance and like kind of dark and gritty past, I'm like, I don't care about that. So that's why it's so chunked together like that. It's like Deadpool past, Deadpool that is past. It's like, So this one I'm more excited about because they can just get right into it. It's kind of like seeing like Spider-Man 2, for instance. Like you don't have to say like, oh yeah, Peter got bit and Uncle Ben died. It's like, no, like Peter is he's Spider-Man, he's doing his thing. Deadpool's gonna be here doing his thing. My problem with Deadpool is this. There are things I like about him, but the humor for the most part, it's just like a 15-year-old wrote it. Like, there's some of it can be witty for sure, but a lot of it's just like look at my crotch and like, oh my god, I'm gonna bang that girl and like I'm gonna touch myself. Like all this stuff is just it screams just immature and adolescent and not interesting. Like it just takes me out of it because I'm just like, okay, like that we have a hero who's just like, who doesn't care, who can't really be killed and is constantly making jokes, and he's not even part of an ensemble cast. You can have a character kind of like that, but as long as they're part of something else, that means it's more kind of, not necessarily has to be serious, but I just get really tired of that kind of humor. It kind of is grating on me. And plus, just every Deadpool is just horribly loved, and it makes me sad because I'm like, I knew Deadpool as like kind of an ancillary character when I was younger. Like he was just kind of like he would show up in like Ultimate Alliance, and like they're like, oh, it's like a guy who could teleport and has guns and swords, and he makes a few jokes. I was like, cool, that's great. So he's kind of like a dirtier Spider-Man or whatever. But now it's just like, oh god, Deadpool is everywhere. Like I love him so much. It's like it's just a little too much. I don't know, Joe. Do you feel any of that? Do you feel any of that fatigue at all, or do you really like the character?
I think there's appeal there because he's so different. It's not the same old. It's immersive in a way that the fourth wall is broken, so you're almost interacting with the film yourself. Like, oh, is he talking to me? Okay, that seems a little stupid, but. In the fact that you can take something that kind of has serious tones in a more lighthearted manner, and it makes it a little more fun. There's no anxiety associated with it for the most part.
Sure.
I think brings some enjoyment to the table. As far as a character, I didn't mind the whole backstory thing for his first film. I feel like they wanted to show it properly. So it didn't totally bug me, and I didn't go in with high expectations of it. I came out of it laughing a little bit. It was fun and enjoyable. A couple of the jokes didn't strike me that well. I didn't laugh at every one of them. I'm not 5, but
sure, or like 13, but it's R-rated, so it's like
yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's some enjoyment there, maybe for the comedic factor. I feel like, let's face it, when's the last time you went and saw a comedy movie and it was only superhero based?
That's true. I can't think of one right now.
He's kind of a standalone, and I'm not talking about like what are those stupid ones? Wasn't the guy with he played McLovin or whatever from Superbad? He was in one. Ass or something like that.
What?
Was it called Kick-Ass or something like that?
Well, that's not. I don't think it's the same guy, but Kick-Ass is like kind of. It's like its own thing, but I can see where you think that for sure. Yeah.
Whatever. Those are just dumb. This is like a mainstream hero, but it's just shown in a totally different perspective, and I think it's refreshing to people to have that. I don't want to say palate cleanser because it doesn't cleanse your palate whatsoever, but it's just a change of pace.
Sure.
Just something that you take to kind of veer off the standard line of big epic proportion superhero movies, and you just kind of, I'm gonna have a little fun with this film. All right, I'm back into let's watch Civil War.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said that it's not all good, but it's pretty good. And I think more than anything, I think the marketing is more successful than the movie. I think the marketing is awesome.
Well, for the first
it's smart. It's flat out smart. They mix him with reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like they've got Captain America, talking about current events in a marketing campaign. You know what I mean?
Sure. That's true. Yeah. You just have him in like Spider-Man Homecoming, and he's like, physical education is an important part of like your well-being, and you're like, oh god, could you imagine being like frozen in ice, and then he like comes out of this and he's like, I'm not going back to that life, like when at the beginning of the war where he's just like trying to sell bonds, and now they're like, hey Cap, you want to get in front of this camera and just like say a few things to the kids, and they're like, but yeah, no, you're right, you're definitely right about that. I was thinking a point that you made about where he's like talking to you, that's fine and fun, but they did like the whole like, they're like, oh, we did a fourth wall breaking joke and a fourth wall breaking joke. Is this like 16 walls that were breaking? It's like, honestly, if you want a movie where they talk to you, go to Disney World and you can see Muppet Vision 3D. They used to have Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. All that stuff. They're talking right to you. Kermit's talking to you. So like, I don't want
Muppets, Jimmy.
I know you hate them. I love the Muppets. Muppets are fantastic. You just have like some fear of them. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're creepy as hell.
Loves the xenomorphs.
Right,
terrified of Kermit.
Yeah, okay, but pause. You're laying in bed at night. There's a faint light at the foot of your bed. All of a sudden, frickin' a little fuzzy, puppety, big mouth creature sticks its little beady eyes up at the foot of the bed and starts to raise up and No. Just no.
I try not to do this very often, but if you guys, anybody wants to make some fan art of that, I'd really like it. You could tweet at me. I'm at JimmyGood013. I'd really love to see Joe just in bed, like a comic style panel, just of Joe, like a shadow goes across the bed. Anyway, I'm excited for this. I shouldn't say I'm excited. I'm interested to see where they take this next one, because they're not constrained by saying, hey, we have to tell Deadpool's origin story. You can just have him go.
Yeah. Now they've built the foundation, and they can just go upward.
And even though I've talked about this in the past, like I'd love like Fox and Disney to work together and actually have the X-Men and stuff in the MCU. I'm kind of happy right now that Deadpool can't be a part of that, because I would hate to have had Civil War, like they're all fighting and Deadpool's like walking up to the camera, he's like, well, I might as well just sit this one out, guys. Like, why can't we all just get along? Like, I would I don't want that. And then him like flicking people off and like punching Cap in the face. Like I don't want that. Like I'd be really sad about that. So I'm interested to see where they go with this, and I just want to see a trailer now. But Cable looks pretty interesting. I still have the theory that they're going to make some sort of Thanos joke, because Josh Brolin is playing both Cable and Thanos. I'm still sad that Stephen Lang didn't get Cable. Makes me sad. Oh well. Anyway, that's okay. It hurts me. Stephen Lang's a good actor. Anyway, Joe, we're moving on, because I can't talk about Deadpool anymore. Makes me slightly sad. Joe, there's been some interesting developments, and it's not a really big deal, but I kind of wanted your take on it. So Shadow, oh my gosh, I have to say this. Middle-earth, Shadow of War, there we go, is going to have loot boxes and microtransactions in the game. Now, the weird thing about that, Joe, is that this is that single player. Remember that third-person game I had you play a while back, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor? Remember that one?
Yes.
So that game is going to have microtransactions and loot boxes and stuff in it. I just kind of want to get your feel for it, and I was going to tell you what comes in these things. So you can either earn the currency in the game and buy these things, or you can spend real world money on it to speed up the process, basically. So you can get in loot chests, you can get gear, you can get upgrading weapons and armor for his abilities and stuff like that. And they can also contain XP boosts. War chests provide orc followers for you. They can contain training orders to help level up your orcs and stuff like that. You can have experience boosts for all these things, and then you can have just bundles, which are just loot chests, war chests, and boosts together at a great value. But I'm just kind of curious, just like your thought of getting a single player game and trying like the ability for you, Joe, if you're like, man, I don't want to put like 40 hours or 30 hours into this game, but if I shell out like 10 or 15 bucks, I can make it a bunch faster. Is that interesting to you at all in a single player game?
It's freaking stupid. First of all, a single player game is barely worth it in the first place.
Uh-oh. Yes, here we go. Hot take.
If you're going to spend $65 on a single player game, you're doing it for a freaking reason. You know what I'm saying? You're doing it because you like the franchise, or you like the story, or the idea of it, or the creativeness behind it. You want to play through the freaking story. You don't want to spend $15 to get perks and all this shit that move faster through it and just speed through. Stupid. Multiplayer online, more specifically, I understand. If you want to start unlocking all the great stuff, the skins, the armor accent stuff, the weapon customization, etc. I get that. That's cool. That's more of an aesthetic approach, sometimes strategic, but it's competitive online. That's a different deal.
Yeah.
And even if you don't want to fast forward to that, you can still play competitively and work your way up like a real man. But
well, mostly in games they don't let you buy anything that would give you necessarily an advantage. Like say in a multiplayer game, it's not like in Overwatch. You can get skins and stuff, but it's not like, hey, for like $5 extra, Tracer's bullets are going to do a little more damage. And it's like, what?
No, you can buy loot boxes, can't you?
Yes, you can, but they're just just for skins, just cosmetic stuff. Like
yeah, sure. But like Call of Duty multiplayer, you can buy tons of stuff, and you can open up things like
Oh, you can get like
weapon customizations and stuff.
Oh, like red dots and stuff like that.
Yeah, in new
Okay.
weapons. And
Okay,
all that,
so
which makes you better. And,
yeah, there you go. I'm not surprised the Call of Duty would do that. Yeah, well, geez, how dare they make so much money off of people who keep buying their games every year? But I was thinking.
You know what I was thinking? That little rant has me parched. So you know what I think it's time for? It's time for a ice cold, crisp, refreshing Canada Dry ginger ale.
So hard not to say or make any noises just during that whole thing. Just sitting here, just like, we're not sponsored by him, not yet. Also, in this fan art, do you mind putting the Canada Dry on like his little side table, like his little nightstand, just right there? Like he always has it next to him. He's like drinking it. They're coming up.
The whole podcast, I have to hold it like this.
Yep, that's where we're each gonna get $5 for this. No, I'm just kidding. So my initial thought, Joe, about this too was like, oh, how dare they? Why would they do this? But really, to me, it seems like they're whale hunting, and that they're basically going for the people who don't have necessarily the time to play through these games, but they have some more money. So they're like, hey, I'm really busy. I've got like a really hectic job, but I've got a lot of money that I can spend to kind of fast forward and still enjoy this game. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not like something we haven't completely seen before. And as long as it doesn't really hinder the game, and it's not like, for me, who I'm going to play this game, and not buy any of this extra stuff, I hope it's not really hard for me to amass the actual currency in the game to get these other things. Because to me, like playing through the first one and then going into this one, I thought, well, a lot of these things are just natural progression things. Like if you find an orc, you can like turn him to your side. And then like if you... it sounds like in this game you can help build that one up, or it was like you'd hunt certain like special orcs and then you could turn them or kill them or whatever else. I hope I don't have to like get enough money to buy them, like I don't want to have to like, that just seems weird, like against the narrative. If it cuts into the story of the game, that's where I'm going to draw the line and say like this is a really bad thing. But until this point, it's mostly just like making Talion even stronger and faster and all this stuff, which is really weird because by the midpoint of the last game there wasn't like a lot that could stop me anyway. So it's not like I want to rush to the god mode. It's like I'll get there. Like like I could take on like 200 orcs at the beginning of the game. I could take on like 1,000,000 orcs at the end of it. So it's like I don't need to get to that point faster. Like it's like take your time. But I don't know. I don't think it's that.
Doesn't matter what game I play. I'm always god mode.
Oh boy. All right. But yeah, I appreciate that hot take, Joe. I like hearing your thoughts, especially about single player games. I'm going to get you into single player games eventually, Joe. I think you're going to be the kind of guy where it's like this game, you'd love it if it was $20. Like you'd be like, oh, because that's how I've been in the past. Like I've been waiting for like Doom to drop to like $20 because like I think for me, I played through that campaign once. I'm not going to play the multiplayer. It's going to be 8-10 hours, maybe 15, and I'll be like, wow, that was really fun. That was worth my time. But if I would have spent 65, like we talked about, it is with the tax. To me, I'd be like, like I'm not playing the multiplayer. I don't really want to replay this thing again and again. Like for me, that $20 is a good weekend. It's justified. So
yeah. So you bring up Doom, Jimmy. Not to get too far off topic, but I expressed a little bit of interest in that a while back, and you said, nah.
It was just a few days ago, actually.
Yeah, and the multiplayer is really lacking.
Okay, I played. It's not that it's lacking. It just, to me, it wasn't a lot of fun. It was like the stuff that I played. It was back at the beta. Granted, I haven't touched it since then, but I've heard people say like, that's not the best multiplayer. You don't play Doom to play multiplayer. But it was a lot like, it seemed kind of Halo-esque, but not the same. Like the weightiness wasn't there or something. It felt weird. It felt like Doom is kind of arcadey. Joe, you know what I'm talking about? Like you're moving really fast and blowing everybody up. It doesn't transition well into multiplayer. And then like if you kill enough and you get like a power up, then you become like one of the demons and you have like rockets on your back and stuff. It's like even that wasn't really cool. It's like it's not that great. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It was like it felt weird. Like in Doom, you're supposed to feel like a true badass all the time. And in Overwatch, you can still kind of feel like that, but it feels balanced, in the multiplayer. But in Doom, when you're in the multiplayer, it's like, oh, I'm just like a regular. Everyone is like a super duper badass. We're all like taking up shields and like. It's like, okay, everybody, just calm down, yeah, I really wish we could have had a co-op campaign for that. I don't think that's there. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I would love to play through a crazy fast game with Joe and myself, just like, we're killing everybody. So, yeah.
Dude, I would lose it. I did watch like some trailer stuff for it and a little bit of gameplay on it, and it looks pretty freaking intense. Like the metal music going in the background, and then you just like slam down on a freaking demon thing and slice it up. But yeah, it's cool. You know, the first Doom game, that's how they trained the military. They sat them down with the PlayStation 2 and Doom, and 8 hours later, they were good to go.
The first Doom was not on a PlayStation 2.
It was on an Xbox. My bad.
I'm just going to let it go. Anyway, yes, that concludes our Shadow of Mordor / Doom talk, which is great. That's so good. Also, side note, not that co-op makes every game better, but even open world games, I would absolutely love this, because we've been playing a little bit of Ghost Recon here and there, like with Horizon and now Shadow of War. Man, it would be so much fun to play like with a buddy, just like one buddy, not like 2 or 3, just like one, just one.
Yeah.
You know, even if it breaks the game, like you know what they should do, Joe? They shouldn't even like make them like a co-op, like if a buddy joins you, they have to join you in this mode. No, just like literally plop Joe's character into my world. Don't test it. Don't do any of that. Just say like, all right, we'll see if it works. You know what I mean? Make sure it's not like buggy, but like it's like, hey, Joe's just running around next to me, and we might look a little different, but we look like probably the same guy, because Talion's like the same dude, and we're just killing about 1 billion orcs. Like, there you go. That's just what we did tonight. We just killed some stuff. Like
1 billion.
That'd be a lot of orcs. We'd have to have some that we get bored after a little bit, but anyway, I'm just saying. Co-op, Just Cause 3. Please bring it to consoles, please. Then I can get Drew to buy it.
That'd be something I'd be interested in.
We'll fly together, or we have to wait till Anthem to do that. But can't wait for that game. Anyway, sorry.
Calm down.
We got some news on Hellboy, Joe, the new Hellboy. Remember, it was Hellboy, and what was it? Hellboy Rise of the Blood Queen. First off, I believe they dropped the subtitle, so now it's just Hellboy straight. But now they've got Mila, is it Jovovich? Jovovich? She will be playing the Blood Queen herself. You know, her from Resident Evil. I just want to know if you thought anything about that, Joe, because I was like, that's some interesting casting.
Wait, who? Say that one more time.
Mila Jovovich, the person who plays Alice from Resident Evil, like the main lady in that, she's going to be the villain in this Hellboy film.
Okay. That makes sense. I think she could play somebody that's got the name Blood Queen.
You look like a Blood
Queen. Coincidentally, that's my middle name. My father gave it to me when I was born.
You know what that makes me think, though, Joe? And this doesn't necessarily have to, her past works, but that might mean this might be more of a physical take on a villain. Like, she might be not like, because typically when you get like I look at like Snow White and the Huntsman, you have like Charlize Theron playing the Queen. She's not necessarily getting her hands dirty, but I could see Mila like really running up and like punching Hellboy in the face and sending him like across the room, which pretty sweet. I'm just saying.
She's pretty actiony,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's cool.
My sister had a great appreciation for the Resident Evil games and the movies.
What? Like, I don't know. You don't have to.
I don't know.
Her. Okay, I was like, because they're two different things.
She's not into anything else like that, but she more so the games. She liked them a lot, and then so she went and saw like the latest movie, kind of a deal. But not into a lot of stuff like that. It's just Resident Evil for some reason. So
weird. I know like one guy who's like really into Resident Evil the games, but he also loves the movies. And he says like you have to look at them as two completely separate things, because they'll like name drop characters and they'll have characters that are actually in the games in the movie, but they're nothing like their video game counterpart. And you just have to say like this is like some B tier cheesy like popcorn action flick that's got nothing to do with the Resident Evil games, like the scary, terrifying Resident Evil games that I love so much. But yeah. I wouldn't be surprised after this last one if they would take it in like a horror direction, because again, with Deadpool we were talking about earlier, if they can make an R-rated horror film successful with a video game like tie-in, because video games have been having issues, even PG-13 wise, making money. I'm looking at you, Assassin's Creed. Actually, I don't know what movie it made, but critically horrible. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but those movies, I don't know if you've seen them, Joe. They're fine. They all run together for me. I haven't seen them all, but I was like, okay.
Resident Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've caught bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah, they're fine. But obviously, Mila is she's like the one, like she's the poster child for that franchise. So I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of cool, and I'm still interested to see more about Hellboy. Again, the guy playing Hellboy is the sheriff from Stranger Things, which he definitely has the face for it. Like, and that's not supposed to be a dig at him at all. Like, he just looks like, when I looked at him, I was like, perfect. It's like, good, that's great. I mean,
you look like a giant devil. Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Well, Ron Perlman does too. All right, he totally does, and I feel bad because part of this is bittersweet because I like Hellboy. I like these two films, like the Golden Army and stuff too. But it's sad because I wanted to see Perlman and Guillermo del Toro come back for a third and final chapter, but it would have been more lighthearted and kind of not whimsical, but you know what I mean. This one's going to be very dark and gory probably, and I'm interested to see it. I want to see a trailer. I really want to see a trailer for this movie because I'll be like, yes, like if they nail the look of Hellboy and that world, it'd be very good.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, that's all the news we have for this week, and I think it's time to move into the main portion of the podcast. Now, Joe, I was sitting around today. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon. Just looking out, everybody's having a jolly old time. People are riding bikes, they're taking walks. Everybody's just enjoying summer. And I was thinking, could use a little darkness. And then I started thinking about some of my favorite villains. So today we're going to talk about our 3 favorite villains of all time from movies and video games and stuff like that we know of today. Like today, these are our favorite villains today. Could change tomorrow. Who knows?
Anyway, this is a horrible idea. Villains are horrible. They're horrible.
Yep.
I don't like villains. They're horrible.
I like them. I was gonna say I look over
Without any villains, we wouldn't have heroes, though. I suppose.
That's true. That's true. And you know what they say, Joe? A hero is only as good as his or her own villain. Mm-hmm. So that's why the Thor movies haven't been doing so well.
That's
right, Thor?
Big oxymoron.
No,
it's like a big oxymoron. A hero is only as good as his or her villain.
Haven't you heard that a bunch? Like in movies, they always say that, and then they like transition into the villain. They're like, no, this is the part with the Joker or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, it's like the featurette. They always do like in the featurettes. They're like, yeah, Joe.
Jimmy, you're gonna have to go first. I gotta look something up for mine. I've already got my list generated and good to go.
So for me, I don't know, Joe, if you want to go from like third to first or anything. I don't know if I'm going to have like an order for these as much, but these are the ones that came to my mind first. And I'm going to start off with a very specific one. Will all be specific. What?
I bet you.
Guess one.
I could probably guess your number one, like your best one, your favorite one.
Well, we get to one, then you can guess first, and I'll tell you if you're right. How about that? Okay. Anyway, my first, who I guess he maybe takes third place. I don't know, whatever. But the Green Goblin. I really like the Green Goblin. All right, my fascination I think started with him when I was younger, and the first Spider-Man as Willem Dafoe's depiction of him in that film. There's something really cool about that design to me. And for some odd reason, like I grew up more with the Raimi stuff, so like the Power Ranger mask and stuff didn't bother me. It was the same that I liked the organic web as instead of like the shooters. I was always like, oh, that makes more sense. Because like,
how does the organic web work,
dude? He's got stuff on his wrist,
and it just keeps coming out.
Yeah, man. And then it's like tied to his emotional center, and then in the second one, he can't use it.
It's actually his intestines. It's his intestines.
I just, if you take that away from him, and then he's got the wall crawling, like, I guess the strength is there, but like, I never think of like, oh, Spider-Man, if he can't make a web by himself, I always think of like, what other spider abilities do you have? Anyway.
Yeah, true.
But, and like the mask on the Goblin in the old cartoon show that was on like during the 90s, that used to freak me out a little bit, but I always thought he was really, really cool. He was this combination of both, strength and science. You know, he could fight you hand to hand, but he kind of preferred to kind of be like on his glider throwing bombs at you. And every time I have my gym bag on, Joe, I always feel like I'm carrying his big, like, he in the comics and stuff like that, he'll have like a big purple bag just full of just explosives that seems never ending. And every time I put it on, I'm like, I feel like the Green Goblin right now.
Here I am walking into a public place with a bag full. We'll stop there because
exactly. Anyway, this love even transferred when I go up to my cabin. We got this kind of bat-shaped like water tube, and you're supposed to kind of lay down on it and hold on to it like that. I would like crouch down and kind of like put like my leg out to the side and pretend like I was on a glider. And so when we'd hit waves, I'd try to fly up in the air like I was like, you know, attacking Spider-Man. I always thought it was so cool just because like he had so much stuff. Like, I loved the idea of the gliders. I like it even in the third one that it like comes back to Harry when he gets separated from it. I even like put it in on my cell phone as like a contact where I'd like hit a button and be like, I'm calling my glider right now. And it'd say like glider, like 555, blah, 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 like 1, 2, 3, 4. And people would be like, Jimmy, you gotta stop. And I was like, he's so cool. But anyway, the Green Goblin is really cool to me, and he's done a lot of crazy bad things. And I always thought of him as like a step up from the Joker, because the Joker is a mental threat, but not a physical threat. The Goblin is both of those things, and he loves taking like hostages all the time. He's flying around. He's incredibly dangerous. Like, if you're fighting him here, he could just throw a pumpkin bomb down at some civilians, and you're like, and he's just like, well, that's too bad. And I really love that. And I also love Norman Osborn kind of, being this father figure to Peter, but also always feeling like his presence is known. In the Raimi trilogy, even in the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, it always felt like Norman was kind of behind the scenes, so there's always his influence, even when he wasn't there. And that's a really good sign of a good villain, because you're like, man, the ghost of this guy, he still haunts me to this day. And I really like it. Yeah, just everything about him. His look, his power set, it's all good, baby. I love it so much. So there you go. That's the first one of my 3. Joe, do you have anything to say about the Green Goblin before we move on?
You talked about the design and stuff, and I really did kind of enjoy the one from the Sam Raimi films. I feel like, it was a little more suit accentuated, but it worked, and I liked it. It was just well done. I enjoyed it, and I don't know if there's much more to say. He's appealing for sure.
Yeah, I've talked to you about this. I know I talked to Kyle Boss about this, but the mask, like, they tried to get ready for like the actual first movie. And there's actually like some behind the scenes stuff. I saw that was like Sam Raimi was actually talking and directing someone in the mask. And dude, Joe, it's like legitimately terrifying. Like, it's super duper scary. Like how good that thing was, and I just don't know why they decided to go against it. But Willem Dafoe's performance through the mask was still really good. So, yeah, Green Goblin. That's one of my favorites. All right, Joe, how about you, buddy?
Well, for me, it's kind of tough. It really is kind of tough. My number 3, like, I've got so many rolling around in my mind that could go on for number 3. And take that bronze medal, if you will. Sure. And I'm coincidentally looking at my phone. I got the roster here, and I'm like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
As a precursor, at the beginning, Joe said, I've got my 3 ready to go. And now, baby,
I did, but as I look at it, I'm like, ooh.
Joe's like, I really like that Whiplash from Iron Man 2. He's pretty dang great. Is he worth number 3? I don't know. He loves his pet bird. Yeah, no. It's funny to me.
Jimmy, what would you consider Spawn to be?
A hero, or at the very worst, an anti-hero.
Yeah.
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 I was just going to say, side note, Deathstroke is not part of this. Usually a villain, but sometimes more of an anti-hero. And if they kind of bleed into that, I just don't. I want true villains for the most part. Obviously, villains team up with heroes once in a while, and it's like, hey, we're buddies. And then they're like, I kill you, but not today. And it's like, all right. But yeah. So if everyone's like, wait, he's gonna say Deathstroke, right? Not today. Not today.
Wait, you're not picking Deathstroke in your top 3?
Not. Also, I'm not picking.
Oh.
Even though they're fine and good, I also am not going to put Saruman or Sauron on the list because even though they're really big and cool threats in the world of Lord of the Rings, I've never felt like they were like the Saruman is I would say a better villain than Sauron. Sauron's just kind of a disembodied eye and he's just kind of away from everything, and his presence is felt, but it's not the same. But I just never felt like those villains were like I like a personal threat in a villain, you know. I really appreciate that. So sorry guys, you're not gonna be in this one. People are gonna be like, oh no. I don't think a lot of people would put Sauron, even though he's I don't know, maybe he's popular. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gotta pick, Joe.
You know what? I think I'm gonna put Loki on the board.
You're gonna put Loki as number 3? Tell me why.
Yeah, it was a bit of it was a tough decision to come up with third because it's not too special, but it's special enough. It's 3 out of however many hundred, So I picked Loki because I like his unpredictable nature and there's a sense of mystery to him. You don't quite know everything there is to know about him. You don't always know what he's thinking. He's flat out a trickster, right?
Yeah.
Which I enjoy. Plus, I like that he's a good sounding board isn't the right word, but a good character to have people interact with. And
sure.
Not to mention, the latest portrayal of him is, Tom Hiddleston playing Loki. I just don't think you could ever beat it. I think it's so. He plays such a perfect, sinister type of person, especially in this role, that I just really enjoy it. I think it's cool, and I wish I had that hair. That hair, man.
Yeah. It's good. I was gonna say like 50% of Avengers is just him talking with people one-on-one, which just shows how good that portrayal is. What do you think?
Also, I like the tie to Norse mythology.
Oh, sure, yeah, totally. Do you like the big horns, Joe?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't like some of the old comic book style illustrations of him aren't as attractive as the movie film renditions, but and IGN ranked him the 8th greatest comic book villain of all time, just so you know.
I looked at that list earlier today, and I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, so is there anything else you want to say about Loki? He's an interesting villain for sure, and I think a lot of people love him now because of Tom Hiddleston's portrayal.
Yeah, so good on you, Tom. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's it for me. In the films, I really enjoyed him, and I like when all of a sudden he's in a scene and the interaction that he shares with other characters. I enjoy it, and Norse mythology ties and the overall look of him. So yeah, I enjoy him for less in-depth reasons, I suppose.
That's okay. Well, just a shameless little plug here, but we did talk about Loki recently on the upcoming episode of Trailer Master discussing Thor Ragnarok. We have some predictions for Loki. Will they come true? Who knows? What are those predictions? You'll have to find out by watching that. Anyway, all right. So Loki, Joe, I had like these 2 here in my mind for the number 2 spot because I have number 1 locked away. It's locked away, hidden in a vault. It's fine.
Yeah.
Number 2, Joe, actually happens to be IGN's number 1. It's Magneto. Now, Magneto is a fascinating character to me. I've always loved him, and a lot of it is, again, due to a portrayal I saw when I was younger, when I remember seeing, Ian McKellen portray this guy and thinking like, oh my gosh, he's both him and he's Gandalf. Like, this guy's an incredible actor. That's why he's like one of my favorites, Ian McKellen. But Magneto is really cool because you get this perspective of a superhero or a superpowered individual that you don't really see all that often. He grew up basically during the reign of Hitler back in World War II, and he had some time in a concentration camp, lost his parents. That's when he got his powers, and he has been completely, just full of hatred for humanity ever since. And weirdly, he ends up kind of becoming the thing that he really hated, that oppression. Now he's doing everything he can to protect his people that he sees. It's not the Jewish people anymore, it's mutant kind. And seeing his perspective and just like his presence and his power, even like, there's, when you can see his face or when it's like in shadow and it's just like the glowing eyes and you're like, this guy is a threat. And I love his moveset. It's really cool. He has this dominating presence, not just in that, like in the comics and the games and stuff as well. And I love having this perspective to go against Charles Xavier, a perfect foil. We're talking about like Loki and Thor and all that. But this guy who's just like, Charles is obviously the Martin Luther King Jr. to the Malcolm X that is Magneto. And Magneto's like, yeah, we should just probably like wipe them all out. And Charles is like, oh, they're still good. And he's like, eh. So, yeah, I love Magneto. I just think he's just so cool. And you have a villain that can float into any scene at any time. I love that too. So, yeah, I love Magneto. He's just so cool. He hits, again, power set, presence, personal. It's all those things. The 3 Ps. I didn't mean to do that, but it worked out well. Joe, do you have any thoughts on Magneto?
I think you explained him really well. He's a very a lot of depth, and conflicting. You get that sense of humanity out of him, but then he kind of sways back and forth between that blurred line, I guess, or he blurs the lines himself. But yeah, and I don't think, along with my Loki pick, Ian McKellen, was he perhaps born for that role? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they could ever get it any better. That was the nail on the head right there. But I mean, and speaking just in all overall, not too in depth on it, but just thinking about if you could control anything metal, you'd be dang near unstoppable.
Yeah, in this world, and then it's like it goes even further. Like, obviously in the comics he could do even more things.
Yeah. Well, and the Earth is magnetic, and minerals are.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like he gets, and then I think he can even turn himself like invisible, like by manipulating like magnetic fields and things like that. It's like a bunch of weird stuff. It gets complete. Obviously, he's a supervillain, so he's got like the best of the best powers. But yeah, and you brought something else up too. I forgot to mention. Fassbender does a great job, especially in X-Men First Class, portraying this character, and I really like Gesundheit. Oh man,
is there a cat in the room? Jeez, Pete.
Apparently, I summoned Fassbender somewhere. He's like, someone will sneeze. But I really like him in that one too. But yeah, you're right. Being able to control metal, I think about that all the time. I love like telekinesis for me is like the step above that, where you're just like, oh, it's just everything. But like, even if it was just metal, even if I could just only move like a pop can, that'd be incredible. I'd just be like, or you know what I mean? Like, just great. Yeah, he's super cool. Also, he doesn't need, like, he's got the Brotherhood of Mutants. He could take on pretty much everybody. Like, like you like see him in the movies and they get the jump on him once in a while. But like you have Wolverine, who's this unstoppable force, and he just kind of like Magneto just kind of picks him up like it's nothing. Like especially in that first movie, he's just kind of like, yep, you got metal all over your body, so it just like I don't know what to tell you. So I love that he's kind of like the block mentally for Charles, not just for his helmet, but also physically for Wolverine, who seems to be almost unstoppable. So, yeah, I love Magneto. Plus, his the color is on him. Not usually what I would like, but the crimson and violet together makes it work.
Yeah, for him it works. For him it works.
He's got like that white hair. It's great look. Yeah. Anyway, all right, Joe, please After you.
So I gotta admit this. I thought for sure Magneto was gonna be your number one.
Oh, you did? You really think?
I
Yeah.
thought for sure. I thought for sure that's what it was gonna be. But now to be honest, I'm confused on who your favorite villain is gonna be.
Of all time, Joe.
Of all time, like the number one. The number one. All right. For my number two, I think we all saw this one coming. My boy Venom.
He's number two. All right. Anyway, please go on.
Yes. So we both surprised each other. All right.
Yeah, we did it. We don't know each other as well as we thought we did. I thought all top three were going to be Venom.
I thought we were best friends.
Venom. Venom takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, Venom number 3. Venom number 2. Venom number 1. Yeah, obviously I choose Venom mainly for aesthetic reasons and abilities. It's almost kind of congruent with the same vibe as the Xenomorph from the Alien films. It's just the design and look that will never fade in my mind. And for Venom, it's like the best of a bunch of worlds. You know, he's kind of like Spider-Man, but way cooler looking, and then has this major horror aspect to him with the whole teeth, the mouth, the tongue, the drool. There's almost, I like that there's less humanity to him, you know, it almost more alien, you know, which I love. And the abilities and everything are just great. I just don't think you can beat it. I mean, there were times where Venom and his big gangly tongue and teeth were my wallpaper on my desktop, you know? I mean, that's how much I love that design. I just think it's awesome. In fact, I've even thought of getting like my face tattooed, like all black with the white eyes and like having teeth for my lips. So it looks like I'm always smiling really big and I've got like the fangs, you know? I'm totally kidding, but I hope everybody got a laugh out of that one. Yeah.
Here's a new bid on the newest project. Like it's like, Joe, we're gonna have to fire you from the construction company and be like, why?
$1 million.
So the Venom symbiote got Dr. Evil.
Yes. Sir, here's a change order.
We now know that Dr. Evil will be Joe's number one villain. Anyway, please.
Damn it. How hard would you laugh if that was my number one ultimate villain?
If it was legitimate, I would just be baffled. I'd be like, huh?
I love Austin Powers, man.
I put up that gif of just Obi-Wan saying to Anakin, I have failed you. I have failed you.
Like, in all honesty, if I was going to be a villain, I would love to be Venom. I think it would be so cool to be able to just, you know, and I'm like another creature, almost like if you were like a werewolf, you transform into that. I think that's a really cool scenario. And I mean, imagine the pranks you could play on people. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it would cause a whole thing. They'd send like riot teams, and they'd probably send in the National Guard because some kid spotted a big black gangly creature running through the freaking sidewalk and running down the sidewalk. Oh man, you could start a whole thing. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, also you can change your clothes and all that too at any time. That's a nice thing. You don't have to transform into it; just like goes over you. Like as a werewolf, you just have to like rip it apart. It's like nope. It's like you're like ah.
Oh man, first thing I do, I go nuts at work.
I was saying,
all of a sudden out of my office, the walls just go obliterating, and I'm just like,
So in this scenario, you're definitely not the Flash Thompson Venom. You're more like the Eddie Brock. Like Flash has got like a perfect symbiotic relationship. It's more like a black suit Spider-Man. He's like, I've got like the power. Like Eddie Brock is like, I'm like, you know, all the bad parts of my mind are cranked to 11, and he's just like,
Yes. Yeah, let's just say things might not end well for me.
Let's just team up. You have that, and I'll have Magneto's powers, and we can just team up, maybe for good. That's happened in the past. Well, like I think he was on the Thunderbolts. Venom was anyway, different Venom. But anyway, yeah.
Cool. Or should I be the White Venom?
Oh, anti-Venom?
I'm leaving it with the OG.
Yeah.
Brock. Yeah. Brock. All right, Jimmy. Should I get a drum roll going, or
no? Well, I just wanted. I was gonna say I basically echo all the sentiments you have about Venom. Venom's a cool guy. He's a really cool character. I know you don't like the hulking big Venom as much. I kind of like the bigger. I like it when like you have Spider-Man and he does look like a 15-year-old, and Venom could just like pick him up with like 2 fingers, almost like, yeah, you're kind of a little like pipsqueak. But that's the cool thing about Venom. He could be in a lot of different forms.
You know, if you Google him and you come up with some of the images, there's some really good ones, and then there's some more, you know, typically what you see on a cartoon is, let me see, something of that nature. Quite large and hulking, like you're kind of describing, right?
Yes, that's the Spectacular Spider-Man one. That's a really good Venom, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's well done, and I'm accepting of it.
His tongue's a little weird.
So now, yeah. So now, if I was to take that and I was to actually create a real creature standing over my shoulder, what would I like it to look like? I suppose it could be that big. It's just you got to have that ability to visualize what would it look like in real life. And
don't worry about it. It's alien, Joe. You wouldn't understand it. It's gonna look like things you've never seen before.
Sure, but dude, if you start looking at Venom pictures online, you'll just get sucked in, man. Sucked in. I think I got this. I want to show everyone.
Oh, okay. I was gonna have some flawless transition there, but not gonna happen today.
A flawless transition. Oh, this is like an action figure. See, I don't know. I oftentimes, and I know you and I have debated it a lot, I oftentimes picture him like the size of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Sure.
Around there. Yeah. But no, I understand he's generally more hulking and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's big. He's supposed to be big, big villain.
Interesting, because a lot of people have done like computer art renditions of him. For instance, that is Venom in real life in my eyes. Hulking. He's pretty big, I think. I mean, his shoulders are pretty wide. I don't know if you can see that too well, but
yeah, it's weird that the white.
That's my Venom.
That spider thing's on his back instead of his chest. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is on his chest. He's doing like the whole owl.
I was gonna say the owl thing. He's like cracking his head.
Actually, I don't know. That's a good point. That looks weird.
Joe, I don't want to take you away from Venom talk because I don't. If there's anything else you want to say about him, otherwise I'm going to tell you my number one. The number one villain.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hold you off for so long.
Joe, what if I told you my favorite villain, the best villain of all time, was also from space? Completely and utterly iconic. That maybe you could recognize this villain not only from a silhouette, but from one noise. Just one simple noise that I will not do here because I will not do it justice. All it is just a simple inhale and an exhale. That's right. I'm talking about the one true villain of all time, Darth Vader. Darth Vader is the coolest villain that has ever been around. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Jimmy, come on. I thought I was going to be the Joker. First off, if you thought it was going to be the Joker, you're dead wrong. Joker's not great, all right? I'm going to say that right now. Not that great. Darth Vader, he's incredible. Not only is his look just stellar, it's stellar, but the fact that like every part of him, you could just see like a glove, like the helmet, the cape, anything. Like you know who that is just by breathing. You know it's him. You hear that breath, you're like, uh-oh. Like, you see that red lightsaber? So good. Also, has one of the coolest theme songs of all time. The Imperial March is so incredible. It just makes everyone just get filled with that pride for the Empire. You're like, oh yeah, let's do it. Like, And after the prequels came out, we have this tragic backstory about how he came to be. And I love a villain that also has, some. We talk about the depth, and Darth Vader's got a ton of depth. And they've talked about this for a long time, bringing balance to the Force, that he's this prophecy, like he is a living prophecy. And eventually, he gets pretty darn close to bringing the entire Force, just like wiping out all Force users. So cool. Like almost like, not single-handedly, but he was like the only guy going around just like wiping out the Jedi for a long time. He's Force choking people, amazing power set. He can just Force choke anybody anywhere, basically. He's like looking at you through a monitor, and it's like, if you've got bad news for him, probably going to choke you out. I know what you're thinking. Jimmy, that seems kind of harsh. All right. Honestly, if it were me, and I had a guy running a gigantic space laser that could blow up a planet, I wouldn't really feel like there'd be a lot of room for error. All right. Like these guys shouldn't be screwing up. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah, no, all kidding aside, Darth Vader is I think he's just a really incredible character. He's got interesting motivations, interesting backstory, really cool power set, a really cool tie to the heroes, and his presence is kind of when people they'll just say Vader, and people shudder. They're like, oh, like like not many people have seen him who aren't part of the Empire and lived, and even the people who are in the Empire, there's not a lot of them that talk to him just like as a peer. Like a lot of them are like, hello sir, like kind of like that. Like you don't want to look directly into like his face because he's just like 7 feet tall, just like, and you're like it's nice to see you again, sir. I love him. Also besides being a really good swordsman, which they don't really show too much of because they didn't have the technology for it, also a really good fighter pilot. Like he's very good at that too. Can command armies, do all this stuff. He's just incredible. I love Darth Vader. Just firing on all cylinders. Vader's the best. Anyway, Joe, what do you think of Vader?
Yeah, he's all right. I actually think if I'm going to watch a Star Wars movie, he's probably the main draw for me. At the end of Rogue One there, where he goes into that airlock and he's just like cutting them down. I'm like, this is why I paid $10 to see this. And it lasted for barely 30 seconds. And yeah.
Yep, I threw my wallet at the screen. I was like, take it. Take
my money. More Vader.
Never enough, man. Make that Vader standalone, please. I know people are like, dude, what would it be? I want to watch a Vader like Jedi Purge movie. Him hunting Jedi for 2.5 hours. That's a good movie.
I would watch
scary
that.
Movie. That's a good movie. From his perspective, like it's a horror scene when he's out chasing people, but then they just do like the quiet moments where it's just Vader just kind of sitting. He's just like, oh man, I knew that person back at the Jedi Academy. Kind of had a crush on that one for a while, and he's just like running them through, and it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, Vader. What more can you say? So good.
Yeah. So I assume it's my turn.
Oh, last thing, quick. I met
Yep.
Darth Vader. He's the only one of these villains I've actually met in real life. And I will tell you this, actually quite intimidating. I went up to him, like the speakers have the noise, like he's trying to like talk to you or something. I was just like, I did bow to him. Which I'm sure he gets all the time. But I was wearing a Stormtrooper shirt. And we went back to back doing Force chokes. It felt really good. And that's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. I was like, and someone's like, Jimmy, you look scarier than Darth Vader in the shot. I'm like, no. So just me and Vader. Just his new secret apprentice. Just like, teach me everything.
Yeah, that was your profile pic for a long time, and rightfully so. It is a cool shot. Cool photo.
Like legitimately, that costume though, that setup they had for him, actually intimidating. Like I was like, man, like your height, Joe. Like just.
Was he 7 feet tall though?
He's big. He's big. I was like, like if you look at that picture, I'm 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So he was standing right next to me. He had a few inches at least. I was like, oh.
That's cool. That's cool, man. Jimmy, I gotta pull a quick audible.
Oh.
Audible. Calling it. Time out.
Audible.com. Everybody loves. Joe wants to quickly plug.
Give a shout out to this week's sponsor.
Not yet. Audible, if you want, you can please contact us.
I like to read. But
I like when people
to
read.
listen to books. Yeah, I like when people read to me. It almost helps me relax more, and my wrist doesn't get tired from holding the book up. All right, so thank God for technology in the palm of my hand. As you started intro your last villain, I was like, you know what? I didn't really think this through. I wasn't thinking enough beyond like villains and comic book style stuff.
Sure.
Granted, this character I'm about to throw at you has been in comics, but what's going to happen here, since the rules don't apply to me, I make up the rules. But anywho, I'm going back to spot number 3, and I'm going to give Loki the axe.
That's not surprised you picked Loki.
I'm going to knock him back down the 4th. Because how can Joe Lever pick his top 3 villains of all time and not pick the frickin' Xenomorph? Look at it, people. That's my number 3. Why? Come on. Do I even have to answer why? Do I have to answer why? Have you seen Alien Covenant? Have you seen any of the Alien movies? If you haven't, shame on you. I love the Xenomorph. Not picking it sooner. And to explain it a bit more, why I bumped Loki for the Xenomorph is because, mainly for the same reasons I like Venom. Freaking sleek, sexy design, just freaking amazing. I like the films that it's been in. I like the ways that they show it off. I like the sense of terror that it brings to the screen. Anybody who tangles with it, you're nervous for. I love the different scientific aspects of it, how it came to be, the origin story, the way it reproduces, even the different variations of it within the species. Hats off to you, H.R. Geiger. A design that will haunt people's nightmares for eternity, and one of my most loved characters, which, by the way, I bought Alien Covenant because who the hell wouldn't? Anywho, all right, so Xenomorph number 3. I won't spend too much time on it because I called an audible. I apologize. But
Audible.com, where you can listen to Alien Covenant read out by Ridley Scott himself, I'm sure. That's a joke.
Yeah. So, anywho, Jimmy, I used to like to think that it was our families that determined who we were. Then I like to think it was our friends. But then I realized it was our enemies. Name that villain.
This was a quote?
Yes.
Okay, I used to think it was our family, that our friends, but it's our enemies.
Who defined who we were. Who we are, sorry. Who defined who we are.
I never put the subtitles on, but I assume that's one of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. You know what I'm saying? No. No, I don't know. You got to give me another hint.
You still say it the same way. Oh man, hold on. I gotta look it up. This is a good hint, man. I promise you.
I love it. I'm just completely in the dark, and it feels nice for once, honestly, because I could see these things coming, but gotta love a curveball. That's how you build anticipation in a podcast. Silence.
Still say it the same way. Astonishment, with a hint of dread, but with a hopeful finish.
Oh, I know. It's the one and only.
It's the one and only.
It's LL, right?
Boom, baby, Lex Luthor.
Yep, there we go. I was like, it's got to be Lex Luthor, right?
Yeah.
He loves that Lex Luthor. He loves it so much, you know. But you like the Smallville Lex Luthor more so than even
the Smallville Lex Luthor. The writing for his character was freaking epic. Michael Rosenbaum playing Lex Luthor was epic. I never had one complaint about that character in that series whatsoever. There was nothing too corny about him. He was just well written in, and just the portrayal was spot on, and I loved it. Will it ever be topped? Absolutely not.
I love that. No. Well, it's not like he's got a lot of competition with Jesse Eisenberg or anything.
Yes, I hope he dies in prison in the films. Anywho, we're not doing Lex Luthor anymore. Michael Rosenbaum ruined it for all of us. We're screwed.
Well, the problem is he's not young enough where you could still, because he's Lex Luthor Jr., you still couldn't bring Rosenbaum in to be like, oh, he's the dad. You'd be like, oh.
No, they should have just brought Rosenbaum in for the film period and called him Lex Luthor. He's 45 years old. How old is Clark Kent?
30s.
Yeah, so they could have played him off his 30s. I mean, he doesn't look old. So, so what solidified this choice for me, Jimmy, is mainly the fact of how well he was portrayed in Smallville. Turned me on to the whole Superman game and the whole DC universe as a whole, really.
Cool. Yeah.
And Lex Luthor, there's something about, and I mainly owe it to the Smallville series. I appreciate him in other renditions and aspects as well, from their more original comics and stuff like that. I'm not much of a comic reader myself or anything, but I know enough. All right. But, for instance, the way I introduced him, that was from the season 10 finale, when Clark's in the mansion and it's all in ruins, and he's like, Lex, you still say it the same way, Clark. I just I love it. And the fact that he came back at the end of that series, put a cherry on top of the sundae, if you ask my opinion. And unfortunately, the DCEU screwed it up a little bit, but maybe they'll get their hands back on the reins and turn the horse around. But I just, first off, he's a heavy hitter. Who else, a human go against Superman, huh?
Yeah, that's so true. I was gonna say, he's incredibly intelligent.
Exactly. I just and the fact that he's in, he shares the screen or the page or the television with my favorite hero of all time, Superman, only boost him up more. So I picked him mainly because of his personal ties to me. That sounds weird, but
dude, that's what I was saying about Green Goblin.
Personal reasons, and mainly because of Smallville and how much I love that series and the nostalgia that sparks within me when I watch it or when I see Michael Rosenbaum on YouTube or something. And I really like that guy. I think he's funny, and he's been good in other things. He's actually done films. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. I actually own it. It was 2 years ago it came out, and I watched it. It was High School Reunion or something like that. But, he just seems like a cool, genuine guy, and his portrayal of Lex Luthor will forever be a standout in my mind. Somewhat akin to how you look at Magneto and Ian McKellen. So, that's my number one pick. And I want to hear in the comments below who you think the best Lex Luthor was, because if it's Jesse Eisenberg, I will disown you.
No. One thing I want to say about Michael Rosenbaum, or as Lex Luthor on Smallville, I never really got why he hated Clark. I think it was more like Clark, like the guy spends years trying to figure. He's like, if the car crashed in the river, and the guy got me out of it. And like, I feel like it's mostly just because Clark never went up and said like, "Hey man, I'm super strong and I ripped you out of that car." Like Clark really never had that moment with him, so he just kind of went nuts. He was just kind of like, "Why don't you tell me these things, Clark?" And Clark's like, "Hey man, you got to back off." He's like,
well, like I thought we were best friends. Why'd you never tell me that sort of thing? And you know, Lex wasted so much time looking into things that Clark could have answered in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think
time and money.
Yeah, and it created a lot of resentment there. But there was also you also got to think about the small things, the family relationship, like Clark's family versus him, and those interactions and things of that nature. You know, it starts off on the right foot and keeps going that way, but there's those little snake bites in between. You know, and Clark's dad who didn't like him and made it very clear, and then, you know, things that happen with like Red Kryptonite, where, you know, Clark did things to Lex that really most relationships immediately, and somehow, you know, it gets explained away, or, oh, this happened, or I'm sorry, Lex, I wasn't myself. And, you know, their friendship eventually goes to hell, and you know, Lana's distrust of Clark, you know, drives her into Lex's arms, and it creates a huge rift and all that. Would you like me to go over more of the plot synopsis through?
No, it's fine. Don't. You can look at Lex too, kind of like a Doctor Doom character outside of Smallville, where he's kind of like he wants to protect humanity, kind of a megalomaniac, and he's kind of like, you know, Superman has all this power, and he's like, why, you know, we can't hold this person accountable. And he's like the only person on Earth who's like, hey, we should, like, this guy's probably like a threat, except for Batman vs Superman, where Batman's like, I think he is also a threat.
In Smallville, they do show his intentions being more to protect Earth, no matter what the cost is, even if he blurs the line of right and wrong.
Blurs the line?
Yeah.
Joe.
Oh, the blur.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Yeah. But it's amazing, you know. It starts off in like end of season 1 or beginning of season 2. They're in the loft in the barn, and I think they're having like a conversation, looking out at the night. And Lex says something like, "Our friendship will be the thing of legend," you know. And then by the end of it, you're killing Clark, and it's something else. It's really interesting.
Yeah, but good pick. Yeah, well, also, like Joe was saying before, you know, talking about who's your favorite Lex Luthor, we want to know who your favorite villains are. Please let us know in the comments down below, or you could tweet at us at either time, because we want to know what your favorites are. Also, we want to know if you want to see more, like, kind of podcasts built around, like, a top 3 type of thing like this, because we could do favorite heroes, too.
I like the whole ranking thing, Jimmy. I like it.
Yeah, well, I thought villains would be easier, because like I think villains stand out more. Like, I love my heroes too, but like villains, you could just be like, oh, there's that one that looks like a total badass. I like that guy. Like, you know, like, I like this guy.
Typically, their aura / design can be more appealing than a hero.
Oh yeah, usually it's like really kind of edgy, and you're like, oh,
exactly. There's something edgy and attractive about it, not in a sexual way. Why'd I feel the need to clarify that? I don't know.
That's okay. Speak for yourself, Joe. I really love that Green Goblin outfit.
That Catwoman.
Not the Halle Berry or the Anne Hathaway ones. Both horrible. Sorry. All right.
I like Anne Hathaway. Anyway,
you do or do not?
I liked Anne Hathaway.
You did? Really?
I did. Yeah.
She does a cartwheel over a guy's arms in a prison, Joe.
Remember that. I just saw Anne Hathaway in a tight suit, all right? Gosh.
Princess Diaries, that's where it peaked.
Don't tell Haley.
I won't.
I'm just kidding. In fact, I should buy one of those for her.
I said that sounds like a birthday present. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. All right. Back on track.
Anyway, moving on.
Next week, everybody's top 3 villains. Maybe we work that into the question segment, huh? Or the community feedback.
Yes,
I really will be, right? Give them to us. I want to hear them. This could make for a real fun podcast.
Yeah, well, exactly. And also, I love this kind of like, back and forth, more of a conversation as opposed to like us just screaming out our ideas and then people sending it like, we won't address that. It's like, oh no, like such, like maybe, Anna, she always sends in questions. She might have like some very like top three, or like, Gabrielle, she'd be like, or Simon.
Yeah, but don't just give us the names. Put a little blurb after. Give us like the most prominent reason why you chose them. Like I like them because of the design or the look. I like him because of his power sets. I like him because of his. I don't know. The list can go on and on.
Yeah, definitely.
Let us hear it. I'm curious. Really,
I do want to do it. Yeah, and if it's on Twitter, feel free to like if it's multiple tweets or if it's just like you just want to do your top one and then just put like the rest of the characters why you love that character so much. Cool. Yeah. Well, Joe, before we get into the next segment of the show, we have to take a moment to salute our commander, Jonathan Larson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our $100 patron, our commander. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And as Jonathan likes to say, their fate concerns me. Yours does not. Ooh.
Excellent.
Ooh, ominous. I hope I did that right. Anyway, Joe,
I like the way he thinks.
I do too. Joe, what's the next segment of the show called?
Jimmy, would you look at the time?
I was like making this stupid face where I was like, ah, ha, ha. And then
it's about 9:17. And one would say we're killing time.
Timekillers, that's what we're going for there. Yeah, I gotta put the thing.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, my bad.
I have to change the segment to Killing Time with the
Well, it doesn't work out. Time killers. It's such a pronoun. I don't know how to like work it into a sentence, One would say
I just say the segment and then you just have to say it, but it sounds like something we don't need to talk about here. I love this. I love the behind the scenes.
Yeah, everybody's technically getting a look in behind the scenes on how we discuss how to transition podcast segments.
I really want to put that as just like a patron video where it's just like the time that I cut out of the podcast. It's just like 8 minutes of us just saying like, no, you got to do this.
Oh, how cool it would be if we could do a bloopers reel at the end of the year.
Oh, that would be real cool, wouldn't it? Do you want to do that?
Jimmy's like, all that footage.
Just scrubbing through. I should just tell you it's impossible. I should just say it's impossible. But I don't like saying impossible because I don't believe in that. Anyway, Joe, my first thing that I killed time with, I really want to talk about this. I watched Inception, Joe. I watched Inception because we keep talking about it. I was like, I want to watch Inception. Still pretty good. I still like it a lot. It's really trippy, and I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times now. But kind of knowing where it's going to go, I think that helps me focus in on different portions, of the show. But I just thought it was kind of fascinating that there's this theory in Inception, and if you haven't seen Inception, spoilers for Inception, but that there are these things called totems, and they're like these little things. It could be like a top, it could be a load of die, something like that. Only you would know how these things functioned. So that way, if you were in a dream, it would be different than when you were in reality. So basically, it tells you if you're awake or not. And the theory is that Cobb, the main character, his wedding ring is his totem because he only has it on when he's in the dreams. But when he's in the real world, he doesn't. I was trying to keep a track of that, and it seems like it might hold up a little bit. But the rest of that thing is just really, you talk about a one-off and that they could do sequel after sequel after sequel on. And I think Inception is definitely one of those that they could do because they go like within a dream, like within a dream kind of thing. And they have a really good cast. Like, it's just really good. It's shot really well. It's a really fascinating premise. And even though I don't like the dream machine they all connect to, they never talk about what that actually is. It basically just sedates them and connects them all somehow with like a IV, whatever. But yeah, I still think it's really good. And I would recommend watching it. I would love to do commentary on that, just kind of go through and just like kind of talk about each segment. And I would also love to know how they did some of their action set pieces, because some of them are like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in a hallway and he's floating around with another guy. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, that's pretty neat. So The other thing I've been killing time with, Rick and Morty Season 3 started up. The first episode premiered a few months ago. They had a Mad Max one on. They've had a Pickle Rick one, which I haven't seen yet. But the Mad Max one was okay. It wasn't as good as the first episode, but I really still love that show. If you haven't checked out Rick and Morty, please check it out on Adult Swim. It's really fun. It's like a crass and darker version of like a Futurama, which I like because I always thought Futurama was kind of depressing. But Rick and Morty is just kind of like fun depressing, if that makes any sense. Like there'll be sad things that happen, but it'll be in a way that is humorous. And for example, one of the main characters will say, well, I guess making clones myself isn't going to work. And then there's like all these incubated clones of him, like through the stages of life, from like a baby all the way up to like a grown man. So he just like takes out an axe and just starts hacking away at these just like lifeless like husks of himself, and he's covered in blood. He's like, ha ha ha. It's just like, it's really like, it just takes a turn into this weird dark area out of nowhere, and it's just it makes sense in the confines of the episode, I assure you. But it's just a really well done, well written show, and I'd recommend it. So
I'll be honest, Jimmy, it sounds a little morbid.
It is definitely a bit morbid, for sure. It's a little bit sadistic, for totally. And if you can watch an uncensored version, I'm sure it'll be even funnier. But yeah, it is a bit morbid, but I think you get a kick out of it. It makes sense. It's not gratuitous. Like they don't just kill to kill. You know, there's reasons for these things. It's character motivations and circumstances. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been killing time with for the most part. How about you, Joe?
All right, so old Joe over here has been killing some time of his own recently, Jimmy. I rebooted the old Xbox 360 game.
You rebooted it? Like you made a new one?
All right, maybe the wrong terminology. I inserted a disc into my Xbox One. Happened to be an old Xbox 360 game, backwards compatible. Can you guess at what this game was, Jimmy? Say, I know you know, but say you didn't know. Do you think you could guess what I would have put in there?
I think I could probably guess still if I had to make an educated guess. That is so. Yeah. I would probably guessed it's Call of Duty Black Ops 1.
Yeah, you're darn right, man. The Vietnam War era one, the first one, the one that started it all for me. Ooh, I love it. I absolutely love Black Ops 1. Mainly for the nostalgia and the fact of, I have so many memories of playing that with my buddies and stuff, and it was more of like a party game. You get four guys together or something, and you like trade off. Whoever has the lowest KD has to hand the controller over to the next person. You know what I mean? It's just a good time. I played it with our buddy Drew when we were roommates in college, actually. Excuse me. And we get a group together and we just play Call of Duty for a few hours. We just whoever lost handed the controller, and it was always fun. And it seemed like for a game, you would always have these weird little quirks, or like, oh my gosh, did you see that kill? Like, or, oh, there's a sniper over here, and you'd sneak up on them, and you would like stand over their shoulder and watch them like trying to shoot people, and you're just sitting there with ballistic knives looking at them. And then, or you'd, because they're watching a kill cam, so, or you'd stand there and you just aim at them and you'd shoot your ballistic knife into the back of their head. And when they watch that kill cam, they're just like, you know what I mean? It's great. I have good memories of like trolling people in a party or something like that on a team deathmatch, and I just think it's always, and part of me really likes the pace of it. It's like the best Twitch shooter I think I've ever played. Black Ops 2 was pretty good as well. I think Black Ops 2 may even be a little better. I just don't have it. So, but the weapon choices are great. The customization options are great. There's a really good variety. The controls are amazing. Probably goes to show why like Blizzard, got help from Treyarch on controls.
Yeah.
For first-person shooter.
Yeah, for Overwatch. Mm-hmm.
And it shows. I just the map designs on those are really well done. You can just have a ton of fun. However, I will warn you, if you're thinking about doing it on your Xbox One and going back to that old game, there are issues, such as people can now hack the games or something like that. So like every once in a while you'll get in a match and all of a sudden like the entire map gets enthralled in gas in certain areas, or they'll be able to drop mortar strikes in 3 different points, and you have to kind of weave in and out of them to make sure you're not getting into them. So it's weird. Every once in a while you'll see that person that's got like 40 kills and like 2 deaths, and it's because they've done that. And I don't know how it works, but if you get into a normal match, it's just like it's always been, and it's a good time.
Cool.
Very, very nostalgic. So that, and then I watched the movie. Don't take my man card and rip it up, but I watched this mainly because Haley wanted to watch it, and we were just having a chill night, and we watched Bad Moms.
Oh yeah,
was it good? Moms.
Oh yeah. I watched that one too with Mila Kunis.
Yeah, with Mila Kunis, and then I don't know the other two, but it's not. It's actually pretty funny. It's a simple movie for the most part, but it's kind of like it gives you a bit of a perspective on how crazy adulting can be, especially when you have kids. You know what I mean? And if it does anything, it points to dads, and it's like, share the burden. You know what I mean? So
that weird single dad that she kind of hooks up with, and I don't know. I always feel like there's like a weird vibe I got from that dude. Like the whole time, I was like, what the like? Yeah,
like they didn't really focus on him enough to make you feel comfortable with the fact that he was a kind of a focal point of the movie.
Yeah,
like you wonder what happened in the end with all that. You don't know. Was he just her Latin lover?
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, it's not a bad movie. There's some quality to it, and it's the comedic value is okay, and it's not overdone by any means. So for $2 or $3 or whatever it is to rent it on Xbox Store, it's worthwhile.
I found her abrasive friend to be actually kind of funny in that movie. There was like her other, like I think it was like Kristen Wiig, the blonde one, who like was putting up with like the worst stuff, and then she kind of had like a breakdown. Like she was like the kind of like yes dear, like whatever. It was a pretty good trio. I liked that trio. I think the 3 of them.
She was some sort of nanny. I didn't realize. Like at first, it seemed like she wasn't a mom when like she runs into her husband at the lunch place.
Yeah.
It was like, yes sir, right away sir, and she like, sorry guys, I gotta go, and she threw money on the table and went back. And then she finally sticks up for herself, and then in the end, she's like bossing him around. Did you forget her backpack? All right, well, let's turn around and go get it. It's not gonna get itself. Hurry up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah. And then the weird one, the weird lady. What was she saying? Oh, it's a little crude and vulgar at times, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like feminine. What's the word? Feminine references.
Sure.
She like hugs her son in the end, and he's kind of like a big doof or whatever. She like gives him a healthy lunch and hugs him and says, "And I'm gonna come to your baseball game." And all right, I love you. And as he walks away, she's like, "I'm so glad I didn't wash that out of my snatch." I'm like, wow. It was funny, but a little over the line. But all in all, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
So,
see, Joe, when you said you were watching Bad Moms the other night, I didn't realize it was the movie. I thought you were watching like one of those like dance mom things where like they're 3-year-olds like a ballerina. It's like Joey, you guys are getting into like some sort of TV series that I should know about. Because I was gonna say I can't. You and I've watched things like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. But I was like, that's like another layer, like another level down that rabbit hole. Yeah, like that's a dark place.
Never. I'm not that desperate for entertainment, pal.
I just can't watch like a bunch of like little like jaded children who are like 4 or 5 like screaming and like doing all this stuff. I like watching a bunch of adults, like a bunch of like idiots, like especially on The Bachelor. Yeah. Like they're all like, "She's my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend." It's so good.
So Jimmy, I mean, everybody knows that we watch The Bachelor and Bachelorette for comedy. I did not watch this season. I caught little glimpses of it, but I hate to say it, I just wasn't interested in this one. I didn't really there was no draw to it for me. I didn't quite like Rachel, and I thought all the guys were kind of like a waste. So, did you watch it? Did you kill time with The Bachelorette?
Yes. Actually, I'm gonna probably watch the final episode here, like tonight, even potentially, because I don't know who won yet. It's so weird.
Would you like me to ruin it for you?
No, thank you. On The Bachelorette, it's so weird to me because on The Bachelor, it makes more sense because just because of how that show is done and the customs of it. It's that like the man proposes to the woman. So in The Bachelorette, though, she comes down to 2, and like a guy comes down there, spills all of his guts, is like getting down on one knee, and then she's like, "I'm gonna have to stop you right there," like. Like,
yeah.
like just I almost wish they would just like give you like a stop and just like turn around. Like, like I couldn't imagine being on that show and then like being like, I'm gonna propose, like this is gonna be my wife, and then she's like, actually today I like the other guy a little bit more. So yeah, I've been watching this season, and I'll say this, Joe, I got into this show a few seasons back or a few years back when Chris Soules started. I think it's when we watched like the first one. And it's an on-running narrative, and I didn't realize that they didn't used to do this back in the day, Joe, for the shows. So basically, when they introduced The Bachelorette, it hasn't been going on as long as The Bachelor, but now, so if you lose on The Bachelorette, if you're one of the top 3 or 4 guys, you have a chance to become the new Bachelor, and then the same for the women on The Bachelor to be the Bachelorette. Before, they didn't do that. They didn't have that kind of cross-pollination. So that's how they get people to watch again and again for sure, because you watch, like I watched Rachel in Nick's season, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see what she's, like who she's going to go for. But the Bachelorettes that I've seen thus far, it's been her, JoJo, and Caitlyn. None of them have really been a standout to me. It's not that they're bad people, and I'm not going to say that any of the Bachelors are like incredible. I'd say maybe Ben was the best one because the guy was like super genuine, and when he sent people home, you could tell he was like crushed. Like Chris Soules was just like a super weirdo, and apparently has accidentally murdered a man. But
what?
Like, yeah, didn't you hear about that? Like he actually ran over somebody with his tractor, and then he ran because he figured that out, and then he like ran and tried to hide at like a friend's house or something. I don't know. It's a weird story. Look it up.
No. You cut out a little bit. Say that one more time.
Like he ran over a guy with his tractor accidentally, and then he ran from the scene to a friend's house to hide, thinking that it would probably be all okay, like if he just got away from it for a bit. But they're like, no. Yeah, no. Look it up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. But I try not to get into like I really don't care about more so out of the show. Like when I hear something crazy like that, I'm like, okay, weird. But I don't like go looking for like, oh, are they still together or whatever. But it's just an interesting show, and then like it all culminates in what I call like the creme de la creme of the garbage, which is Bachelor in Paradise, where they take a bunch of the quote unquote losers from both The Bachelor and Bachelorette and put them in this big house together, and they're all dating each other, and there's all this like cheating and all this like all backstabbing and all this stuff. A lot of it's fictional, I'm sure. I know that. I realize it. It's like watching wrestling. Like I think the same kind of feeling goes into it. There is some realism in both these things. Like those wrestlers are really jacked. Like they're really muscular people who are good at their jobs. Like I get that. Like they're paid performers. And the people who are on these shows, there's a few of them that I really think are they feel like actors, or they're all getting paid to be there just a little bit, which I didn't know about at first, but they all do get paid to be there. And the one who like the Bachelorette or the Bachelor, they get the most because they have to kind of be away from their job for like 3, 4, 5 months maybe. So I realize that it's not all true. And, you want to see the success stories, you want to see that happy couple at the end, but there's always this infighting, and a lot of it kind of loses focus on the main person and kind of goes to like 2 guys or 2 women who are fighting with each other. But I find it to be entertaining enough. Like I'm not completely invested. I don't get hurt. I just like making predictions, and I've found that I've gotten pretty good at it. Like I'm not like spot on 100% every time, but I find some sort of entertainment with it. And my family, my older sister and brother-in-law, they watch it. So it's kind of one of those things that I got into. That's like our show we have together. So when I meet up with them and we talk about stuff, they'll be like, hey, did you watch this week of The Bachelor? And I'm like, yes, I did. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then you kind of like compare stuff, like stats and all this stuff almost. So like I said, a lot like wrestling. So if you really like wrestling, you might get the same type of vibe. I know it seems very strange, but the concept, I should say. So yeah, but I've watched the season, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't really care too much about any of these people usually. like going forward. I hope they're all happy. Like I don't want any of them to be truly sad and depressed, but I think some of them are only there just to be on TV. So yeah, like ugh. I would never want to do one of those. I'd never want to be one of those shows.
I find The Bachelor more entertaining because there's something about a house full of girls getting catty and doing really stupid stuff that's entertaining to me. The guys are a little bit too bro for me, and I get tired of it.
Sure, and I just like watching them get really catty though, which is fun. But then there's like I didn't realize this, but there are like fraternities that kind of come out of these episodes of like for The Bachelorette. Like the guys sometimes really bond super duper well, and you can tell that when they're on like other shows and talk shows and they're talking. It's like they're like, yeah, like we're really good friends now. Like like we realize we're all dating the same girl for a bit. We both got kicked off the show, and we're like, yeah, we just hang out. But yeah, you're right. I see both sides, but it's always entertaining. And I think that I could be the host of that show. His name is Chris Harrison, but I think I could do his job. I've just,
Ladies,
I'm sure. That's like, you got to say it. He's like, Rachel, gentlemen, this is the final roast tonight. Whenever you're ready. And then he's like out and then like come back in and be like, I'm sorry, such and such. Take a moment, say your goodbyes. Like that's like all it is. Like he does other things, obviously. He hosts shows. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. Moving on from Timekillers, I could talk about this all night.
By the way, Crystal's rear-ended a tractor trailer and somehow the guy died.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably drove up and over it.
Not guilty, but I mean he rear-ended it. I wonder how the guy died, but he must have been going fast in a tractor to break his neck or something. That's insane.
Side note, Joe, you sound much quieter. Did you move the mic far away from your beautiful face?
I did not. Should I hold it really close like this?
Oh. Welcome. As long as you don't scream into it. Anyway, we're moving into my favorite segment of the show, community feedback and questions. First question we got here today is from Anna. We were talking about it earlier. @GoCritical, #CriticalPodcast. That's how you find us. If you were a secret agent, what kind of secret agent would you be? What kind of missions would you do? You know, Joe, I'd probably be an assassin. What can I say? That's what I'd do. I'd be with the sniper rifle, like off in some other country, dude. Like I wouldn't want to do anything.
That makes sense for you. You'd be in Ghost Recon. You'd be the sniper, the Overwatch. That's
I'm the Overwatch baby.
Kind of how you play that game. That fits you.
Somebody's got to watch your back, man.
Yep.
Plus, I'd be
in the sky.
I'd fumble my words at one point talking with somebody and like in another language, and they'd be like, "Wait a sec, like you're not such and such." I'd be like, crap. Yeah. That's probably what I would be. What I'd really want to be, though, is like Ethan Hunt, the guy who does everything, like Mission Impossible agent, where he's just like, I'll do anything, like physically demanding things, spy work, I'll do it all. Like that's what I'd want to be, but realistically.
So kind of going along with my top 3 villains of all time, I'd pick Agent Venom. Holy crap, Vellum. Agent Vellum. I'd just be a sheet of thin paper in the wind. Agent Venom. Boom. All those abilities, plus you look badass and you're like a secret agent. Heck yeah, man. Come on, imagine the things you could do.
That's true. That's a good call. That's actually a really good call. I didn't even think about it like that. Well done. Well done, Joe. All right.
Gotcha.
You did. Well done.
You can call on Audible, Jimmy. You make the rules here.
That reminds me of our sponsor this week, Audible.com. No. I'll send this to Audible and they'll be like, we have to sponsor these guys. They said our name like 20 times. This one comes in from Night Warrior 29. What would you do if you were asked to participate in a space mission? I'd probably decline. And here's the reason.
Nobody expected that, but guess what? I have the same answer.
I'd be so scared. Like, honestly, guys, like, I've been in some rough, like, air in an airplane. I can't imagine going through and leaving the only atmosphere I've only known. And, like, they're like, good luck. Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be piloting anything. I'd just be like the dude in the back, just like, it'd be like, just knock me out, wake me up when we're on the moon base, you know. But
yeah, I don't think my mind could handle it either. It'd freak me out a little bit. Like, I'd love to be a freaking fighter jet pilot. That I can handle. But
I couldn't.
Going into space, just there's some of risk there that I'm just not willing to take.
Yeah, I would be deeply honored, if they came up to me like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I'd be like, "No, but I really appreciate it because here, especially in America, I don't know if other countries kind of had this too, but we have a lot of reverence for our astronauts. They're kind of like heroes, especially back a few decades ago, where it was kind of like these names are known, pretty well.
Yeah.
So to be a person to go to space it's a really obviously it's a big deal no matter where you are, but here especially it's kind of like you will be immortalized. Like people will know you. Like you're going to be a big deal. So I just don't know if I'd be able to handle that pressure with the lack of pressure in space, like, hey, we're going to show a camera of our civilian in space. How are you doing, Jimmy? And I'd be like, yeah, I haven't left this seat. Actually, this is where we took off from. And as you can see, there's just like blood coming out of like my, because I'm like ripping the seat so much. I'm like, yeah, I just can't move really. Seeing some things out here, mostly the vastness of dark black death.
You see sweat beating up on his face,
just falling off of me,
popping out of his head. He's just
like, why did I agree to do this? They're like, we're gonna make a bronze statue, everybody.
Right. Yeah, scenario for you. The U.S. government comes to you and says, "Jimmy, you're one of our most brilliant podcasters on Earth."
Well, I wouldn't say this is too far-fetched.
You don't believe in yourself. You laughed.
No, I laughed just because I like the beginning. I was doing the kind of like the stop it, you. Stop it. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so you're one of our most brilliant podcasters on Earth. We have deemed you worthy. The planet is about to go into chaos and die.
Okay.
So we're going to save you and take you to our new we're going to send you on the colonization mission to another planet we've discovered. Similar to the movie Passengers. However, this is a small group, and you're on a typical space, like what you typically see in today's world.
Okay.
Would you do it? Considering that you would wake up, 100 years later after cryogenic sleep or something of that nature.
Also, the other thing I think, if you're talking Passengers, we're also looking at like, I'm going there to help populate a colony.
Yeah, and the rest of the crew is nothing but hot chicks. No, I'm just
hot chicks are going to be in space for sure. No. Just like picturing like we're all just getting ready like the day of, and I'm like, it'll be like a 50-50 split between the guys and the ladies, obviously, and then I just like show up.
No. It's a singular mission. You're going to a space station on Mars. Typical space mission, but it's because the world is going to fall into chaos. They're sending you and Hayden Panettiere to Mars.
Oh no! Well, first off, like her Ukrainian husband or fiance beats me to death, so it's not really like a question of it.
Before you even set foot on the catwalk to the shuttle, he's just beating the crap out of
you. Hypothetically speaking, though, I probably have to meet up with her a few times, see if we could, actually have a few conversations and stuff like that. I'd be like, I loved you in Until Dawn. I saved you. You didn't die in that game. I made sure you didn't die. My family tried to kill you, but I didn't let them. But yeah, no. If we got to go hypothetical, like back to like if I was one of a passenger, like 20 people going, I don't know, man. That'd be pretty intense. I probably wouldn't do it. I'd rather stay here. Plus, even if I had like a wife that I could go with, and they'd be like, oh yes, like our genetics will be passed on through generations, it'll be incredible. I just don't know. I'd rather stay here. But he said that thing about the hot chicks, and I'm feeling like there's a movie here, Joe. There's like a movie that's like one of those like.
It's been done. It's kind of like Passengers, only let's do it maybe more in a. We're going to Mars. You're not doing any of this cryogenic bulk crap. You're not on this giant spaceship.
I'm thinking of it more like it's almost like an Austin Powers has been to space, I think, multiple times, but I imagine like you kind of have like the Austin Powers character with like these 20 beautiful women, and he's like, "Oh, groovy, baby!" Like it's like it's just
one of you is a robot, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's like he doesn't care. Yeah, I love that you pick out like Hayden Pan, like she's my kryptonite. Like if you're like, well, like Jimmy, would you do this? I'd be like, no. I'd be like, well, if she asked you to do it, and I'd be like,
Maybe.
all I'd be thinking is if I save the cheerleader, I save the world. So I don't know. Yeah, heroes jokes.
My answer is no every time. No.
Yeah,
no.
probably no every time, but fun hypothetical though. We should do hypotheticals. I love hypotheticals like that. Please.
That was good. This is going to be a really long podcast with all
Yep.
the.
It's good. Like when we sometimes in these weeks, Joe, and I'm like, there's not a lot of good news. I'm like, how are we gonna get through this? Like, we don't have a lot to talk about, and then we just chat like buddies.
We always have stuff to talk about, and I hope people are enjoying it because it's been fun and funny.
Yes, I've heard some good feedback though recently, and thank you to everybody. We love your feedback. If you have a question to ask to us, if you have feedback on the show, if you have a thought, your villains or whatever, all you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to either of us. Yeah. I am at GoCritical or at my personal account, which is just at JimmyGood013. Or you can find Joe at
Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
That is correct. Very good, Joe. If you want to see my mug playing some video games, you can head on over to our Twitch channel where we're streaming. I just started streaming The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I didn't talk about this in Timekillers, but I think we talk about it now for a second. Really fun. It's been a cool game so far. It's cool to go back like 20 years to see what one of the greatest games of all time that people herald, what it's like now. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We had a good time. So stop on there Sundays. Sunday afternoons. We're going to be streaming that game. But if you ever have a game you want to see streamed, just let us know. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank This Is Dale for amazing intro, outro music. And, of course, I want to thank the one and only Your Nevers, the greatest artist in the world. He's the guy who does the art for our channel for the most part, like 99% of all of it. If you want a commission done by him, please check him out over on Twitter. It's very reasonably priced. I actually have a picture that he did for me. It's up here. You can't see it, but it's there. It's fantastic. Green Goblin versus Venom. Probably saw it as a thumbnail for one of our old podcasts if you've seen it. But he's very, very good. He's truly one of the reasons we exist today. So check him out. And if you want to support him and support us at the same time, you can check out patreon.com/criticalreviews and, throw us $1, throw us $2, just throw us a couple of bucks if you want to see us, get better quality, like lighting and things like that, maybe better cameras, better mics, all those things that can really help. But if you can't support us that way, just share us around. That's a big help too. We're just trying to get more eyes on us. We're just trying to get the word out, as it were. So even you just posting a link on your Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, that helps a ton. Seriously, it really does. And I'm like, oh, look at the numbers. They go up. More views. That's good. But yeah, honestly, if we're making your day a little bit better, that's all I really care about. If I can make you smile, I can make you forget about your worries for just a moment. And that's good. Or if we're just the soundtrack to your life, because Joe, we've done so many podcasts, you could play us for a couple days on end, and it just be us. Like we're just constantly going in the background. You're cooking food.
Take more than a couple days, don't you think?
Oh, we have 73 podcasts, so yeah,
each over an hour.
Yeah, 3 days. Yeah, that's what I do with like some other podcasters. Like listen to them as I go about my day. Anyway, yeah, Joe, I think that's pretty much everything. Joe, thank you so much. It was really fun talking about villains today. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we could do heroes. We could do whatever. I kind of want to do favorite weapons. We might have talked about this in the past, but weapons are good ones too.
We'll have to brainstorm on this one.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in for like the 73rd time or the very first time. We really, really appreciate it. And just remember to adapt and overcome. And we'll see you next time. Bye.